Hey guys, Cait here, and welcome back to another anime season impressions. So when I was watching the anime for this season, I didn't expect the watch list to be so short. Well, shorter than I expected, because most of the anime are either stuff I wouldn't normally watch, or they were new seasons of shows that I didn't watch, well, or ever want to watch ever. So yeah, this video is going to be shorter than my other ones at best. As usual, we are going to start with what I dropped, and surprisingly, it was not a lot of shows. A Place Farther Than the Universe. This series started out interesting. I mean, the whole concept of a teenage girl taking an expedition to Antarctica, who wouldn't? But by the time I got to the point where the girls are on the ship, which is episode 7 out of the 12, for some reason, I was already bored of the moe antics. Basically, I call this the girls always arguing show, because that's what it is. Where's my adventure already? Why were they still in Japan for like half the series? Record of Grand Crest War. The first episode was okay at best, but then the second episode really bored me to tears. So much for action, and so much for being a ripoff of the Fire Emblem series. The Ancient Magus's Bride. I really wanted to get into this show. I really did, because so many of my friends told me that it was good. But my problem with this show is, it's extremely slow. And there's not much drama except for what the main character has to go through. And believe me, I saw the OVAs, which really got me hyped to watching the show, but that really didn't happen. Maybe I missed something? But I don't think I'm gonna get back into this anytime soon. Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. This was one of the shows that I was told by many to really watch because it's not your stereotypical harem video game trapped into an alternate world anime. Well, it kinda is, but I'll get to that in a second. It's really weird that in the English dub, Saito's voice actor is Justin Brenner, who is the same guy who voiced Deku from My Hero Academia, also for the English dub. But I suppose that's not the worst thing to critique on. They actually use CGI in this anime, and it looks pretty bad. Especially this demon thing, if I can find it on the internet. Good god. It's another ripoff of Sword Art Online and Log Horizon when the main character gets transported into a video game world. It started out promising, because the reason for the plot armor is that Saito is actually a video game developer in his usual world when he is I think he turned 30 years old, so he knows how to get around the video game in some ways. But then, as I said before, it starts forming a harem as Saito gains slaves for his travels. Look, I know this is a fantasy world, so rules are different, and Saito is actually treating his group with kindness in comparison to the other characters, but the fact that his group is full of girls around a guy who's 15 in game form but 30 years old in real life is creepy. Then, of course, there's the list that I'm gonna title Not Worth Watching this time, because really, this is really not worth watching at all. And I had to suffer with it for 2 episodes. Beatless. I went into this series thinking it was going to be like Guilty Crown. A pretty interesting concept, with robot girls and a evil organization of some sorts. Boy, was I wrong. Let me just say, I don't think anyone in the anime community asked for a present or 2018 version of Chobits. And then, of course, we finished this video off with the shows I'd finished from beginning to end. Let's get a move on, shall we? Hakume and Mikochi. It's been a while since I found a slice of life's fantasy series that gave me such warm and fuzzies. This is nothing too actiony, and I basically almost called it the girls' last tour of the season. But it's a really relaxing watch if you're on the more laid-back side of things. The opening is really cute, and the ending is really nice to listen to as well. Some scenes are a little boring, but that doesn't hinder the rest of the show's worth. I'd say 9 out of 10. How to Keep a Mummy. The one thing I can describe about this show is that it's downright adorable. It's adorable, but it does end up having some plot to keep the audience watching. The plot may not exactly be full of action, but it did have me at the edge of my seat of what was going to happen to my favorite little kawaii animal friends. The human characters are not that interesting either, but their antics are pretty funny, and their connections to their creature friends are just as sweet. Even the ending makes me shiver with emotional feels. Also a 9 out of 10. Karakai Juzo no Takagi-san. I'm really glad I kept watching this series to the very end. At one point, I was worried that Takagi-san would actually be a total bitch when it comes to making Nishikata's life a living hell and make him the most miserable middle schooler in their town. Or that I've ever seen, actually. But that didn't turn out to be the case. She's actually really nice, and her goal is to let this kid let loose for once in his life. At least Takagi-san does that in comparison to other shows. The only downside to the show I would actually mention is that there's these 3 other girls that have an arc in the show, and I think they're supposed to be like the comedy if the Takagi-san antics weren't enough, but they have nothing to do with the main characters as a whole. And if you were to cut these 3 girls out of the show, the whole series of Takagi-san would remain the same. Unfortunately, that is the part of the show that I have to drop this anime from a 10 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. Laid Back Camp. If you really want to know how camping works, you may like this anime. It's actually kind of funny for the first half, but the second half was getting kind of boring and fruitless. It did end up returning to its comedic roots towards the very, very end of the series, with all the girls together. And it gave me the warm and fuzzies inside, but I can easily tell you that not everyone is going to like this series. But I will say it's better than all the other moe blob crap that's been released lately. 7 out of 10. March Comes In Like a Lion Season 2. I love the first season. The second one is 100 times better. The first season was a great setup for the characters in their everyday lives. The second season brought out a lot more drama that we as fans of the show wanted to see. I think my only critique that I have for... It's more about the entire series in general rather than season 2 in particular. But it's that a couple of episodes, even a small arc of the show, would focus on other shogi players that Rei interacts with. And it's about, like, their backstories and how they add little relevance to what Rei has to go through. And I'll be honest, I usually skip those episodes because I don't want to be bored while watching a dramatic show like this. I mean, the first season was incredible. How come the second season can't do the same? However, I will tell you that besides that, the rest of the second season is so worth watching. And I really can't wait for season 3 to come out. 8 out of 10. Sanrio Boys. It's a series about boys who like cute things like Hello Kitty and that kind of stuff. And trust me, Hello Kitty is gonna be a huge asset to watching this show. In fact, I like to call Sanrio Boys the advertisement for Hello Kitty and Friends, because that's basically what this show is. I mean, for the first half of the show, it did do its best by introducing the characters and trying to make them realistic. More particular in the modern, like, otaku community type of way. Like, it does show that, hey, there are boys out there who like cute stuff, and we understand as a show. But then you come to realize that this show is more of an advertisement because it does the thing of adding animation to real life photography. Like, they actually put screenshots or snapshots of real life kawaii stores and an actual theme park in Japan, and they put the animated characters in the scene for a little bit, and it is very off-putting. So in some cases it could work, But I think if you made it more 3D animated, it would work. But this is 2D anime with very 3D photographs. So, yeah, that really set me off for the whole animation aspect. However, if you really want a show that really dives deep into the whole, like, men like cute things category, it's not really a show, but there's a manga out there called Ottomen, and I really want the anime studios to adapt this into an anime because we really need to talk about more manly men who end up liking cute things and telling the whole world that it's not bad. But as for Sanrio Boys, I have to rate this a 7 out of 10 at best because it's still enjoyable, but then the second half gets lacking. School babysitters. I didn't think that I needed an anime to tell me how cute babies are, but this definitely helped. It has a really nice angle on families and siblings, especially when it comes to the older versus much younger sibling age dynamic. But then when it's not focused on the kids, which, let's face it, that's the whole reason why people watch this show, it's your cliche romantic comedy with a main character that is dense for a reason for once. But then again, I'm so numb to these dense male leads that I just consider him another dense male lead who has girls falling for him. I will say that if you ignore the school drama, the rest of the show is okay at best. I would say a 7 out of 10 like Sanrio Boys. And then we get to the coup de grace of the anime season. Violet Evergarden. Oh my god, this show is absolutely gorgeous. I think if we had the anime awards for 2018 for the next year, I would say this show would win for the most beautiful animation. Well, I mean, it's not Land of the Lustrous level, but who am I kidding? Who can beat Land of the Lustrous? But it doesn't need to be. I mean, the company who animated this is, you guessed it, Kyoto Animation. And you can't go wrong with Kyoto Animation. Like, they know how to outdo themselves every time. However, the one downside to this series is that there are some plot points of the show that are kind of not necessary, or they just sound boring. Sorry, Ray. But I will say that the only thing that made my experience better with watching the show is watching it in English dub. The English voice actors actually make the characters a million times more interesting, especially Violet, who sounds extremely dull even in the later episodes, but I kind of understand that because she used to be trained to be emotionless for war and stuff. But the English dub does the same thing, but it does give her a little bit more character, especially when she starts learning about civilization and whatnot. I mean, trust me, at least the Japanese dub is not Black Clover bad. I think you can still watch it, but honestly, I just rather watch the English dub. It was a lot more interesting to me. Because with the English dub, all of the events ripped out my heart and soul. Oh my god, this show just plays with your emotions. And I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm just gonna rate it a 9 out of 10 and have you watch this on your own. So that's it for the Winter 2018 anime season. If you liked this video, don't forget to click on the like button, and if you haven't done so already, click subscribe and watch some more of my videos. Who knows? You might find something that's really interesting. I'm Cait, and it's been real. Ciao!